storage full. Okay, hopefully we're good. Hi guys, welcome to the presentation for God, Sex, and Rich People. Thank you for being here, even though I think a lot of you have already seen this presentation a lot. Thank you for coming back to see it again. So God, Sex, and Rich People is a multimedia brand exploring spirituality, sexuality, and social class in the city that never sleeps and never stops sleeping around. It consists of a book, digital media, a live performance in development, and ultimately the major commercial release of this brand will be the God, Sex, and Rich People adaptation to a TV show. So I'm Mattie Jo, actor, author, shameless oversharer, and also the creator and CEO of God, Sex, and Rich People. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the brand, where we've been, where we're at currently, and where we're going. So God, Sex, and Rich People is my story. I was a pastor's kid and proud purity ring wearer, born and raised in rural Missouri. I practiced a faith that was very important and very personal to me, until I moved to New York City in my early 20s to become an actor instead of becoming a wife like I was supposed to. Yes, we all just got very close. That's me in my underwear. My entire identity imploded thanks to Tinder and my Jewish roommate. All of my secular world experiences culminated to force me to question my faith, reinvent my sexuality, which is the only acceptable response after Tay Diggs has touched your head. All while living with and working for the 1%. So rich people were a very strange and unexpected container for my identity crisis. It was culture shock from every possible angle. So like a good millennial white woman in my early 20s, I decided to write about it on the internet. When marriage equality passed in 2015, I decided to share how the queer community was a catalyst for me questioning everything I'd been taught about this Jesus guy in my first publicly released blog entitled God and the Gays. My stories seemed to really resonate with people, so I just kept writing, from purity rings to sex with pop stars and learning not to hate myself. I shared the raw, honest, sometimes painful, sometimes hilarious realities of figuring out faith, thugging, and the 1%. Oh, sorry, I meant to say this at the beginning. Explicit warning. I thought that was maybe implied by the cover photo, but sorry. Since then, my blog has gone on to become a book, so it was published in 2024 with Choir Publishing. I reached #1 in Christian anthropological studies upon its release. Stand-up comedian Taylor Tomlinson requested a copy of the book right before it came out. Best-selling author Erin Moon of the book I've Got Questions. She's also the host of a popular podcast called the Faith Adjacent Podcast. She endorsed my book by saying, "I could not be enjoying this more. Your writing is delightful, and I am slightly jealous of it." I have received over 1 million views listens across influencer platforms, including Instagram appearances, Substack features, and prominent podcast interviews. And also authors from big imprints of Simon & Schuster and Penguin Random House have approached me to do multiple literary events at this point. So things are going well. I also established my holding company in LLC Too Much Productions in 2021 with the vision. It was originally, I originally started it to house the development and creation of the proof of concept of the pilot for the TV show. But the vision for Too Much Productions is really to eventually take on and produce more faith-based sort of content. So, like I said, the proof of concept that I mentioned, that I wrote, directed, executive produced, started, all the things. That proof of concept in 2021, it premiered at the Omaha Film Festival in 2023. It was also in the final 12 for the new original work series at Tribeca. So what that means is, for official selection at Tribeca, you have to get in the final 8, right? But I was in the final 12, so I still consider that a very big win, even though I didn't get the official laurel. And also, when I released this publicly in 2024, along with my book, it received over 1 million views. So since then, in 2024, I won the Audience Choice Award at the Yale Innovation Summit for my pitch for God, Sex, and Rich People, which led to me being part of this artistic incubator, Collective CT. And since being part of the incubator, I have been adapting content and characters from my book and TV show on social media and vertical media in order to expand brand awareness, refine relevant content, grow my audience reach, establish myself as a creator in the industry, and this is what would be known as an MVP. I'm sure you're all very familiar with this by now. And honestly, the vertical on social media has been doing just this. So I want to give you some examples. So this is a screenshot from a series I've been calling Overheard at the Potter's House. If you don't understand that reference, you can read my book. If you do understand that reference without reading my book, you're definitely an evangelical. Because the rule is you can't go to a coffee shop, I'll just tell you, you can't go to a coffee shop as a Christian unless it has a subtle biblical reference in it, like the Potter's House. Anyway, so I've been producing reels, and this is an example, and here are just some of the numbers. So these are from 2 different reels that I've done. As you can see, it's all new eyeballs, basically, right? So those are non-followers. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So all new eyeballs, because those are all non-followers, so that's amazing. One reel got close to 8,500 and growing. The cool thing about these is they just like keep going. Once they get on the algorithm, they just keep going. It's great. So 85 likes here, 4,100 shares, and that one gave me 131 follows, maybe increased by since then. And then over here, 5,800 likes, 7,500 shares, and then that one gave me 621 follows. So I plan to just continue deploying these alongside developing and pitching the TV show as a way to just expand my audience reach. So this is all leading up to, like I said, this is culminating to the fictionalized adaptation of God, Sex, and Rich People, a half-hour coming-of-age dramedy. So the show is comedic, but I'm calling it a dramedy because the evangelical experience in mainstream media is often portrayed in a binary, or like extremes. It's either super dark and brooding, like A Handmaid's Tale, or it's a caricature, like Kimmy Schmidt, or The Righteous Gemstones. Somewhere in between, and a combination of both, honestly, is the true religious fallout experience. It is hilarious, or it is absurdity meets reality. That is what I'm hoping to capture in this show. Created to entertain and educate New Yorkers and flyover staters alike, God, Sex, and Rich People dives into America's evergreenly favorite topics: religion, sex, and what the hell are rich people up to. It's an insider's view of our country's most opposing forces: the religious rural belly of America and the coastal elite. It is transgressive. It is subversive. It is always, always playful. This is how my therapist describes our sessions, and I have decided to also describe the TV show. At its emotional core, God, Sex, and Rich People is about risking belonging, losing everything you thought made you lovable, and rebuilding from the rubble, whether you're from Appalachia or the Big Apple. It highlights the elation and devastation that coexist in finding freedom. So, why this? Why now? First of all, evangelical is now a household term, or at least a widely understood descriptor. It was not always that way. When I first moved to New York City and I was trying to explain to people how I was raised, they'd be like, so, Footloose? And I'd be like, not exactly. Or they'd be like, so you're in a cult? And I'd get really defensive and be like, I was not in a cult. And now I'm kind of like, I think I was in a cult. But now, 11 years after, this is something Americans understand is deeply influential in our culture and in our politics. And they're curious. Why? How? Also, Evangelical, deconstruction, purity culture dropout. These are hashtags viewed by billions. Don't do it right now because you're listening to me. But later, you can look this up on social media and you can find an enormous amount of content on this subject matter. There are podcasts, there are influencers, stand-up specials. This is Taylor Tomlinson, the comedian I mentioned earlier, her Save Me tour, which is largely about growing up religious, but has a huge secular audience, grossed 17.5 million, and I think this is her third or fourth Netflix special. There are viral TikToks, book genres. If you search deconstruction on Goodreads, around 2,000 books will populate. Community support groups, entire therapy categories, docuseries. There are so many docuseries on all of the prominent platforms, all about the underbelly of America's greatest and largest influential cult, the Evangelical Church. But you know what there isn't? A TV show. A comedic, character-driven, personal narrative. The story told from the inside with humor and humanity instead of from the outside with judgment and horror. A little bit of horror though. So, the ask, I'm at a stage where I'm actively looking to expand my team, particularly with producers or production companies. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So if you guys know people who have done independent development of television shows or series or production companies, I would love the intro. And I'm super excited to have included this headshot because I do so much money for these. And I need as many people as possible to see them. And then also, you can follow me on social media. We all know how the internet works. We need the numbers. I also have some books here for sale. There's also an audiobook available. So you can buy the audiobook if that is more your style, but support authors. And then I am gonna go ahead and next screen the 10-minute proof of concept for you. If you thought seeing me in my underwear, was uncomfortable, you might be a little uncomfortable with what's about to happen on screen. But it's not like that crazy, but just anyway. So that's the next 10 minutes, and then we will do a Q&A. Yeah? Oh no! Sound. Wait a second. Here, I got it. Stand by, I'm gonna put pause on my camera.